We are going to continue learning the laws of al-chakot, the laws of, as literal translation means distancing one, keeping the distance between one another, distancing one another. But this distancing one another really is actually bringing each other close to each other, as we explained in the previous shul. And we did agree between all ourselves that we're going through these laws inside the Sefer, and we're going to say the most simplest things and the most not simplest things to explain everything the right way, because we don't want to run into a problem where we did mention a story last week that there was a very wise businessman came from great roots. He had great roots in the past, and it came to a point where he went ahead and he wanted to write the bylaws for the company. And when he was writing the bylaws, he wanted his kids to be really strict and to make sure the grandchildren also go in the right path. So he wrote over there in the bylaws of the company that the company will be closed on Chol HaMoed, that there will not be no working done during Chol HaMoed. He doesn't want the company to work. It came out to be went so far that the company today is not open on Chol HaMoed, but it's open on Shabbat, Yom Tov, and all the other days. And they desecrate the most strictest laws of Torah, which, coming from things that were up to Rachamim, the Rabbanans, went all the way to the Deoraitas. And we wanted to make sure we do things the right way. We were up to the point where we are going to talk about the next aspect. We spoke about the concept of chiba, showing special attention that normally a husband shows to his wife, like he says nice, extra super nice things to her that lead to affection. That something would turn on the light bulb. You keep turning the light bulb, and suddenly the electricity goes through and it turns on.
Is this the time when we're separated?
Time of separation, yes, the time of during the time of the 12 days, the 5 and 7 that we have, that we have to make sure that we keep distance, we keep separation. A wife separates from the husband, and the husband separates from the wife. So these are the times we spoke about in the previous show. We started talking about the halachot. We did the beautiful introduction to these laws. Now we're going to continue the laws that pertain to already more coming into doing things that will bring about a direct touch. So we don't want that to happen. No directly passing one thing to the other. And we explained in the previous show, we said it goes that far. There was a story of a irreligious couple that came in front of the rabbi. And they were sitting by a table, and the wife and the kala and the khatan, the bride and the groom, couldn't understand what the rabbi wants. They said, "Come on, Rabbi, are you serious? What, just because he passes something to me, he's going to go that far?" And the rabbi said, "Yes." And they said, "No, this is ridiculous." The rabbi said, "No problem." And he did an experiment. "I'll do an experiment on you right now." He took a cup, he filled it up with the ginger ale, and tells the guy, "Pick up the cup." So the guy picks up the cup. So he tells him, "No, so tell me, what do you feel?" He says, What do I feel? What should I feel? It's a cup of ginger ale. Why should I feel anything? Nothing. So he says to him, "You mean to tell me that when you're going to touch your future wife, you're not going to feel anything also? What is she, a cup of ginger ale too?" And you know what happened then. She turned to him like this, looking at him, with all 4 eyes, right? And her eyes came out to the forehead. She says, "Come on, tell him. What are you going to feel? What are you going to feel? No, tell him, tagidlo." And the guy she told him, "We're keeping everything." And that was the end of the story. But let's go further. A beautiful beginning for that story, but let's go on. So we came to a point of talking about nigya ve'oshata miyad liyad. Okay? Touching and passing from hand to hand. We will also talk about also throwing things, which also will be something to speak about. So we said the halakha is a man is not allowed to touch his wife when she is nida. This is what I call suicidal.
Including the clean days.
Including the 7, we're talking about 5 dirty days and the 7 clean days. As long as she has the status of nida and she did not go into the mikveh, and the mikveh immersion until it becomes a valid immersion, the immersion was done correctly, all the steps were kept the way it's supposed to be. Only then and only then will he be able to come to a point of being in direct contact with his wife, touching her and passing things to her from hand to hand. But as long as this is not done, she's a nida, there's nothing doing. A man is not allowed to touch. Not allowed to touch his wife. Afilu be'etzba ktana. Even if it comes to coming with the contact with a little pinky. I saw an interesting story brought down recently. There was a story with one of the Admorim. They say that his wife related a story. Listen to the story. She says she, by mistake, she passed by him and her clothing touched him. When she was passing, her clothing touched him. He says he couldn't find himself a place. He was so at such a feeling that, that wow, it's a sin. It's a shgaga. It's an unintentional sin. It's not like he derived any pleasure whatsoever. But this is still, Ishto Nida, it was his wife that she was in a state of impurity. And they say, you know what he did? She says she remembers. She told the followers, you should know my husband fasted a couple of days just to fix that. Just to get, in a way, like saying, to get relieved over. But you should know, today we don't do these things. If you want to relieve yourself from anything that you did, you think you did something wrong, do yourself a favor, sit down, learn a few pages of Gemara, and that will do. But let us proceed further. So it says, even if you come to a point of touching a wife with a pinky, etzba ktana, which is not deriving so much pleasure whatsoever, nothing doing, asur. Okay, not only is there prohibition to touch her body, but I'm talking about even her clothing that she's wearing. Right? She's wearing something. You want to take off a feather. You want to remove the hair that's on her. We explained in the previous show to even the blow. There's we saw Psak Halakha, it says you're not allowed to blow. You can't blow it off of her. You have to tell her, honey, you have something on the back. You have hair. You have, what's his name? You have a feather. That I think you should remove it before you go out. This is the way to do it. Okay. So it says like this. Now, this is specific talking about, right? Even if the clothing, right, she's wearing is very long. Let's say she's wearing a wedding dress, right? And there's a big, what's his name, in the back all the way. There's a long dress, right? And even that, if she's nida, he can't touch it. Even if she's not going to feel the motion at all. Nothing. It's asur to do so. Not allowed to. Okay? So too we say that she's not allowed to touch his clothing while they're on him. Also nothing doing. Specifically when they're on one another. There was a story, there was a guy, he just got married and he learned the laws of Nida and he thought he understood everything correctly. So he came to the dining room and suddenly he sees the couch is being occupied by his wife's coat. So he tells her, honey, can you please, right? Says, do me a favor, can you please come take your coat and put it away? I want to sit down on the couch. She's looking at him, she says to him, you rebel, what do you know? Don't you know the halakha is that it's allowed to? If she's not wearing it, it's not a problem to pick it up and to put it away. Nothing wrong with that. It's only while the clothing are on her or while the clothing are on him. Okay, that is the halakha.
So you're not supposed even to walk next to one another?
You could walk next to one another. You remind me of a different story. There was a story one time, I tell you a nice, beautiful story. They say that, the Hungarian Hasidim, they have this custom that it looks a little bit muzar, very wild if you look into it and think into it. They have this thing, I've been to such houses where a wife never sits by a table. Yeah. She'll eat somewhere in the kitchen, whatever she wants to eat, or she'll eat off the top, somewhere on the side, she'll eat.
In Russia they
had this thing, the wife doesn't sit by a table. It's not the normal way of doing it. The most normal way of doing it is the wife sits always to the right side of her husband. Maybe during the days of Nida, for a hekel, we will talk about that soon, she should switch her seat to sit on the left side of the house. Left side of the table. Switch seats. It's better up this way. This way they know, what's today, what's now. That they say has to be such a thing. We'll talk about that soon. So they say that the wives, they don't sit by a table. So there was one time a story how a Khatan and Kala, a bride and the groom, they just got married. And the girl, the Kala, the bride was walking down the street and her friend saw her and says, she says, I just saw the Khatan. He walking 3 blocks ahead of us. I just saw him there. She says, yes, she says, we decided to go for a walk together. This is something they did together. Okay, you got walking, doing something right, walking next to each other. But anyhow, let us proceed.
What happens if you walk outside and it slips, you're about to fall?
She's about to fall?
Yeah, you just...
You catch.
Yeah, but you cannot touch her.
But you Chassid Shoteh, you're shooting yourself in the foot. You gotta catch her. I'll tell you another story that happened. There was one time a story. Listen to the story.
To catch her?
There was a story that goes that the lady, she tripped. Listen to this. There was a chatan, a guy, who was going out with a girl. From family. They were going out, a date. You know, it's a normal thing to go out on a date. So he went out with her on a date. She tripped and she fell. She fell down. They were not married. She fell down. When she fell down so bad. Her shoulder was dislocated. She broke this. She broke that. Poor girl. Now the guy is standing there. He doesn't know. Like, should I pick her up? Should I not pick her up? What should I do? Meanwhile, he didn't pick her up. The other guy who was there, he ran to her. He picked her up. He picked her up and he sat her down. And he tended to care for her. And the next thing we know that this shidduch didn't work out and the other shidduch did. He got married years later. I got to know about this story. This lady was sitting there. She says, "Are you talking about so and so?" Chassid Shoteh. She called him a foolish Chassid. Chassid Shoteh. You're supposed to pick her up. Poor lady, she fell down. She's in pain. Yeah, you have to be not foolish like Gehazi. Chazal says. Gemara says that Gehazi, the one the attendant of Elisha, the story brings down, there was a story how the woman of Shunem, when her son passed away, and she locked him up in the room on the second floor, it says that she ran to the Elisha and she grabbed him by his feet. She grabbed him by his feet because she was in a lot of pain. Her emotions overtook her mind. She grabbed him to his feet, pleading that he should come and do Tchiyat Hamid, should do something about her child's passing. Child passed away. And when he ran to her, it says Gehazi ran to her, right? Says, "What are you doing? You don't touch the Rebbe, right?" He ran to her. A foolish guy, instead of taking her by the hand to pull her away, he went and he took her from the chest area, right? And he pulled her away. You gotta tell us, sounds a rasha, a terrible person. You gotta know how to be normal. You see how somebody fell down, you tend to it. You don't say, like the Gemara brings down the Masechet Bava Metzia, right? What's a Chassid Shoteh? Chazal say, we know what a Chassid Shoteh is? You know what a Chassid Shoteh is? A person who's walking by a river and he hears a woman drowning. He says, I'm not allowed to look, right? I'm not allowed to look. Asur tishtaker, right? Not allowed to look. So you gotta don't be a fool. And that's the most important rule in Torah. Torah says you can't be a fool.
How about support? I mean, so as far as if she's sitting down to help her get up, or
okay. So this we will talk about. We're getting there. We're going to talk about all these circumstances where we'll see that in certain circumstances will be an okay, certain circumstances will be not okay. There's many halachot to this. Everything is explained. Just sit back and relax, and you get to it. Let's go further. It says like this. Okay, let us know now. Also, two people should know and understand that, let's say, there's the towel that she wiped herself with, right? There's a towel that she used, and unless it's a bathing robe. If it's a bathing robe, right? Let's say it's a robe that she dried herself, and the wetness is there. Some poskim machmir, they say that you can't put it on to dry yourself with it because you're gonna get. Let me ask you a question. Which husband eats, right? Let's say a wife, right? She took an ice cream and she's licking it, right? She took a few licks, and then the guy takes it from her, he takes a few licks from that too. Now, which normal person would do that? Only because you feel close to her will you come to the point of doing that. I know a lot of people will say, listen, no, I'm not doing that. Not doing that. No way. Kill me, I'm not doing it. My mother's, right? My grandmother's, I didn't. Yours, I'm going to take? No way, no. But you have to understand, we do things like this only with people we feel close with. Because we're close to the person, we will go ahead and do things like this. If she ate from the ice cream, you don't have no problem eating from it. This is something which is normal to do. Like a lot of people, they have this rule that's, the rule number 1 is called germs, right? But some people feel that's not a problem. All right, let's proceed further. Anyhow, let's go on. Hand towels not a problem, is right? Is not a problem. Hand towels not a problem. Sheets, right?
What even if you don't know it's her towel?
Then it's not a problem at all. Talking about when you do know about it, it's also not a problem. It's not.
If you have 3-4 towels hanging on the door, you don't know which one is yours you used yesterday. Or the one.
There'll be a guy say, I like these all three, huh? Okay, let's go for it. Anyhow, let's go for it. This is not a problem. Even if you know which towel she uses, not a problem. I'm talking about, let's say, she has a bathing robe. The robe which is specific for her. That, right? And the guy wants to feel something. He wants to get turned on, right? He wants to feel good. He wants to feel the warmth. He says, my wife is not close to me. At least I get some kind of feeling out of it. There are some people are like this. And listen, the Chachamim, they talk about this, so must be there is something to it. I don't know what's there to it, but let's go further. Anyhow, let us proceed further. Okay, we spoke about that. It says specifically that the husband is allowed to wipe his face with her towels, not a problem. Now, it reminded me of a story of towels. I'll tell you a story. There was one time there was somebody came to someone's house, and in that house they had little children. Now you know how it is, little children, when they make when they make number 2, and you have something called, not cold blue, you have cold brown, right? And a lot of times when you finish wiping the child, he has a rash, right? And he has a rash, you feel bad wiping it with wipes, so you take the child, you pick him up, and you go, you wash him. And after you wash him, the first thing you do is you grab the towel that's hanging there and you wipe the rear end.
It's clean. It's
clean already. But it's a little child.
I'm
munchkin, right? But listen to this. The next thing is, someone comes into the house and there's the first floor bathroom. The person walks in, dries and washes the face, cleans up, takes the towel and wipes the something doesn't smell right. Something doesn't smell right. And she this person runs out of the bathroom.
Okay. All right.
Is something wrong with this? Is something wrong with your towels? The guy says you didn't see the side.
Can you pause the video? First face.
So the next thing is that, the story with the towels is a beautiful story, but let's go further. It says you're allowed to use her towel without a problem. But it says here's the halakha. It says, however, it says, mikol makom, a husband, it says, en labal itnagev, here, after he takes a shower with the me'il rachza lacha shitnagva bo ishto, im adayin ha'me'il lach. If the bathing robe is still wet, still has that dampness to it after whatever she used for herself, it says don't use it, because it's something that the only people who do these things are people that feel very close to each other. It only arouses affection and feels the closeness that he has to his wife. Therefore, it's better off not to do it. Dry it up. Once it dries up, it says not a problem at all. Let's proceed further. Now, what about passing things from one hand to the other? Passing things from one hand to the other, we know that halakha is not supposed to. And this concept started, when I say the word minhag, the first time this concept is mentioned when they pass things from hand to hand, started from days of Rashi. The students of Rashi were sitting at his, in the yeshiva, and they saw how Rashi wanted to pass over a key to his wife. And what he did is he took the key and he put it on the table, and his wife came and she picked up the keys and she went to do whatever she had to do. So we see from here, we learned they said not to pass things from, this way and that way. So we say we don't pass an object from one hand to the other, even if the object is very long. Not necessarily keys, coins, money, where you know that you might come in contact. We're talking about even if it's something very big, a table, right?
Can table together?
Not supposed to. We'll see that right now coming up. Here's the explanation. Here's the formula. Listen to this. He says not only to give to her, but even she cannot give into you, and she can't put it into your hand. It's not only taking from one hand to the other, this way and this way, but even you putting into her hand and she's putting into your hand, also not done. Now this is specifically your wife. Like when you go to a store, right? And the cashier, a lady, a woman, she's a cashier, and she's counting, she takes the money, the cash, right? And or passing a card, a credit card, or I don't know, whatever the cards they want to pass to one another, halakha is not a problem. You don't have to put up a sign, please don't hand over anything to her now, it's that time of year. No, there's no such thing. There's no such thing. She doesn't have to say, please, excuse me, sir, it's that time of year, can you please put down the change? No, it's not a problem at all. It's not a problem.
Well, there are religious ladies who just put it down.
It's better off this way. It's better off this way. Besides, the Gemara says it says someone who's a rasha, a person who's considered a rasha, besides the fact that it says a person who walks by the river, where women are doing laundry. He knows that they roll up the sleeves and they pick up the skirt, right? Not to get so wet. So a guy who walks by over there, right? Why are you walking there? Are you going to see something, right? What's this all about? So this is not looking for his wife, sure. He's looking for too many. Okay, let's go further. Anyhow, so Gemara says another example. The Gemara says someone who counts money into the lady's hands. 1, 2, 3. What are you doing? You're there to look and to derive pleasure. You're trying to find pleasure. That's not how you do. You count the money. You give it to her, and you're good to go. Okay, let us proceed first. So it says, listen to this. It says, Gam bechevetz aroch, even if it's aroch ma'od. A very long object, a table. He brings down a bench. Why? Because it might come to a point that you might not be so careful. It will come to a point of touching. And better off not to do that.
Rabbi,
That is the halacha.
What if it's a heavy
The
object?
table is long. You're not thinking.
Even
about
if this is the shach, the
heavy.
Siftei Kohen. Shabtai Kohen was the one who brought this in halacha. He says even if the object is very long, nothing doing.
Okay, but 2-3 people are around. If it's me, my wife, and my cousin.
Somebody else is in the middle picking up. So do it already with your cousin. Leave your wife out of it. Why is she doing anything?
What if it's a heavy
What if it's
stroller?
her sister? Like,
We're gonna talk about strollers coming right now. We're talking about to move things from one to the other. So he told his sister to do it. But let's go first. It's like this. He says, what about a couple that live too far?
Just wait 2 weeks.
They live on the upper floors. Upper floors. Listen to this. This makes a little difference. Listen to this. He says, Zug shegarim bekoma gvua. You have a couple, a husband and wife, man and old lady. Okay, they live on the upper floor, and there is always a constant need that the wife ride with the agala to take the carriage up and down. One person cannot do it for sure. It's very heavy. Not he can do it, not she can do it, and they both need to do it. Now they have to tend to it. They have to get the carriage down. So he says like this. He says that mutar la ba lesayah lishto b'horat ha'agala ve'alata. He says a husband is allowed to assist his wife with picking up the carriage together with her, going up and down, not a problem. Okay? But. This is one but. Huh?
what's the difference?
I don't know.
Because
You cannot do it the other way.
There's a need
He
for
says there has to be Menashe. Listen to the differences. Slow down. Listen to this. He says like this. He says, Lo yamdu smuchim ze lazev. One thing is they have to make sure they're not standing too close to each other, which means he has to be there and she has to be here. They cannot be side to side. Okay, side by side doesn't work. When they're close to each other on the same side or one opposite the other, there has to be in a further distance. Listen to this. Listen. It says like this. Okay, this is pretty much as the halakha says is permitted. It's permitted to do so. But he says, before he brings down the halakha, and he says that you're not supposed to. I guess he's talking about in the case where you're able to do it yourself. And here he says it's not a problem. Number, let's say 38, hold on. This is a leniency in the halakha. That if the object is if the object is long and extra heavy, that one cannot do without the other, he says he could do it.
According to
Acham Ovadia, takes it down. It's not a problem.
Not a
But
stroller.
I'm talking about, let's say an object is long and he doesn't really need her help.
no.
So then he has to do it himself. Okay, I guess there is a leniency in the concept. Let's go further.
Passing keys. I don't know where I heard this. If she throws it to you, like you're at the bottom of the stairs.
We're gonna get to that.
Okay.
Don't cut it. But he is like this. He says, we spoke about passing directly to one another. Or carrying something together at the same time. What about throwing something? What about throwing? The person wants to throw something to his wife.
so
So he brings down over here, he says, Mikara din, the law is you're allowed to throw. Okay, you're allowed to do so. To throw, you throw to her, she throw to you, but don't make a game out of it. Okay? Talking about, right?
Rambam is
Huh?
Rambam is not
I don't know the Rishonim so well. But it says, Mi'ikara din, you're allowed to throw to one another. Listen to this, listen. The Mi'ikara din, it's permitted to do so. But he says, as I said to you, it shouldn't be a game. No derech schok, halut, only a need. Now, he says, someone who's machmir not to throw at all, he says, tavo alav bracha.
Didn't you?
Now, b'shat tzolech, he says, better off to do what the Ashkenazim do. The Ashkenazim, they have this chumrah that say if you want to throw something, throw it indirectly. Like what you'll do is you throw it up and let her come and catch it. That is the way to do it.
That sounds like a game to me.
But to throw to her directly.
No, I think-
And the object is flying from your strength to her in that direction. That's going to be a problem.
Right, they said let gravity take it down, you catch it.
So it's better off
That's
not
the
to
way
do
you taught it to me.
that. So the best way to do it
That's
is
the way to do it.
either
Like you
you
can throw it and let it fall on its own. Like
That's
once,
the
when you
cute
throw it, and
thing.
then when the force stops going, like it starts falling on its own.
That's when
then
you get it. Okay. But I'm saying, but the best way to do it is you're standing it and you just throw it up in the air and let her catch it.
Probably directly.
Oh yeah, but don't throw your iPhones in
Throwing
there.
your eyes up, bro.
Don't throw your iPhones. Okay.
Another question. All those signs, is that okay that the other people know that she's in that time of the month?
Again, this is a question that he asked. People have to understand. You have to come to a point of showing to people that they should never know where you are. Meaning, even when you are permitted, even when you are mutarim, don't pass things to one another. Put it on the table. למה שאנשים ידעו שום דבר?
But another
מותרים, או אסורים, מותרים, שלא ידעו.
as far as wine on יום שישי,
When
you're around people.
Let's go further. אתה עשית עבודת בית? אוקיי, let's go further. שיעורי בית, תגיד לי. תכין אותי לזה, שאני אדע בזה. אוקיי, let's go further. אוקיי, we are continuing to go further. Okay. Let us proceed further. Next one. He says, is halacha. You should know there is one of the poskim in the generation said la halacha. Let's say, right, in a situation where already you stretch the hand forward.
Which poskim? Sephardi?
The Sephardi poskim. But it's halacha. It's for sure not like that. But it's brought down one of the poskei Sfarad in this generation. That he already passed away. Alav Shalom. And I told you who was Rav Mordechai Eliyahu. He brings down in the Sefer Darkei Tahara. He says that if just not to embarrass the wife, let's say in a situation where she already stretched her hand, you don't tell her, put it down, right? Put it down. No. Mordechai Eliyahu was lenient. He says not to embarrass. He says you should accept it from her hand.
If there's people or just
If there are people there.
Wow.
If there's no people at all, you could tell her, I'm sorry, maybe you forgot, but it's that time of year, you have to put it down. Now, it's that time of year.
No, they're gonna keep doing
She
it.
knows it better than he
Don't say
does.
anything, just do this.
This is when you are alone, you could ask her, please, please put it down. I'll take it. You say, I'm busy, can you please put it down for us? I'll get to it in a second. But let's say you are in public, right? He brings down the halakha like this. Let's say you are in public, and she already stretched her hand forward to you. Or you stretch your hand to her. Right, and not to embarrass one another. Mordechai Eliyahu was la not to embarrass her. You're allowed to accept it from her hand. But la halacha is mikad. He brings down the Acham, but Yah says it's not right. It's wrong because she's isul. Ishanida is asul. Finished. You say I'll be right there. Can you please put it down? I'll get
Take
it.
the mic in front of everybody. And say, guys, hold on.
We are
Nida, so
Let's go further. Let's go on. Next.
It's like letting everybody know
Next.
the whole party. It's not next.
Next one. Let's go further.
What's the
I
nice
don't know. I
about
don't do that.
it? Karet получить? It's not karet, Rabbi. What's the punishment if I touch her? What's the punishment?
For
If you touch her.
touching. Well, listen, very straightforward. We know that touching is asur. Torah says lo tiklav. So you are coming to a isur Torah that says not allowed to touch.
Is it lavim, karet?
It's a lav. It's a lo taseh. There's no karet on it. The karet is only if they live together.
Right.
That's when karet is.
Okay.
But if they're passing things in a way that arouses one the
Okay,
other,
in this case,
it's going to be us.
Bishnur or something, not to embarrass her
You
too.
could put it down. He asked me, I'll be right there.
What's the definition of aroused?
Aroused meaning you get aroused, meaning you feel the chiba.
Yeah, but we do it today. It's kind of for granted.
And
Like the
yes,
keys,
the problem is we got used to it in the wrong way.
Yes.
I'll explain to you something. You know how it's really supposed to be?
Yeah.
Is when the fingers are coming to touch, you see a lightning already striking over there.
It's supposed to be.
צריך להיות ברק.
But it's
But we're
not.
far from
Yeah.
it.
But it's because we did it to ourselves. וצריך לעורר את זה. But people have to realize it. Let me explain something.
Why do you think all these halachot come? Oh, if you take her towel, this, that, because the original idea is supposed to be that you're supposed to.
You're
feel
supposed
these,
to.
We don't feel these
There's
things.
supposed to be an explosion.
That's why these halachot don't sound normal to us.
Because we see
Yes,
too many naked
especially
women.
for
understand that the right way is like this. Let me explain something to you. You have to understand that the point of these archakot is that you should come to a point of you understand physicality. You want the physical. Men are made for it. Women, they're not the something that want more. They have more emotional. And if you have to learn during this time how to say to her, right, something which will make her understand that you love her and you care for her. It's not only, the woman shouldn't feel like saying, you know what, the husband is there only, you know why he's doing it? Because he wants to use me. I'm always being used. זה פרסונלי שלו, לא לטובתי, לטובתו הכל. אידיאל. Everything me and me.
But during that time, should I be afraid of doing the wrong thing, or should I
No,
want
you should do the right thing.
the
That's
right
all.
thing?
Do the right thing.
But all this halachot kind of don't touch, don't.
When you get used to it and you'll understand it more, you will come to a point of saying, you know what, how right this is.
This rabbi, I forgot the name. You tell the story, but she passed next to him, and
Her clothing touched her, and he felt
Is
that
it so bad. I mean,
because
it
you
wasn't
should know,
intentional.
even if it's not intentional, you have to understand. The Chazal in their great mind, they made it to understand to us to understand that these laws were kept by Aaron HaKohen, they were kept by Moshe Rabbeinu, they're kept by Gdolei Olam. These halachot are even for superhumans, you understand, for supermen. The something that they were able to control themselves. They're able to go, and still Torah said, you know, this is the way to go. This is the way to go, and it's just too bad that we do not have. Forget about that. How we are far from the Yimei Nidut. We are very far, even when in the time when it's not Yimei Nidut. When we are really supposed to be close to each other physically, how far we are from each other. כמה אנחנו רחוקים, שנבין, you have to understand this. That there is a lifetime of work. How much ikhpatiyut you have to show to one another. How much sensitivity you have to show to one another. And believe me, if a wife sees the real thing, she's never going to forgive for all the wrongdoing till now. They say, this is how it really is supposed to be, and that's it. Kasach. Yes.
My type of understanding, again, something like that with the rabbi that she passed next to him. I mean, it's almost like
זה נראה מוזר.
not forget about that, but in order not to take that risk, maybe we should.
No. אין דבר כזה.
Not to be in the same
true.
room together.
No, חס ושלום. Nada. Not to the extreme. It's not a problem. I'm just saying to you how far the rabbi.
No,
I only said the story.
In his level, even touching is.
In his level, this is what he understood. That this is, for him, it was something that was like, Aolam nechlav, the world goes down, but the halacha has to be kept. Understand? But this is, I only said the story just for us to understand what the severity of the concept is. People have to understand this. V'yeshanu Kabbalah. I mentioned in the previous shiur, we mentioned that there's a Kabbalah from the earlier generations. They said all the tzarot and all the problems come from this. Not keeping. From not keeping come all this sicknesses, no balance in the shalom bayit, and the problems in the house, and so many not good things. It's all come from that. It's a known thing. A lot of trouble comes from it. Let us proceed further. Next halacha. He says the following. He says, I told you the halacha. He says, even though not to pass things in front of people, right? It says, מכל מקום ישתדלו בני הזוג לשמור על החכות באופן צנוע, שלא יגשו מידה. It says, ואם בעלה מושיט לה בפני האחים, let's say the husband did pass something to her, and she's embarrassed to tell him, it's that time of year, I'm a nida, right? She should come to a point, she's a smart woman, every woman is smart. She could tell him in his vision, say, you know what? My hands are dirty. I don't know why, but I feel that there's something wrong with my hands. And let me go wash my hands. Something she should come up with some kind of excuse. Why is the reason why she should not want to take it from him, or why is the reason why he should not want to take it? You gotta be smart. You have to make sure the noodles.
Give it a look.
When there's people around. Yeah, let's go further. So I just realized that my hands are dirty. I want to go wash them. Something she could say like that. Let's go further. Let's go on.
The famous look.
Now, what is the halacha of passing children? To pass a child from one hand to the other. Now, if it's a baby that does not know how to go, doesn't stretch his hands forwards to go to the mother, right? It's a baby that is a small baby. So there's halakha, small babies that you're gonna put it down on the mother is not proper. What you do is you bring the baby and you put him on the bed next to the mother and you put the baby down. And then she goes, she take the baby and she wants to, I don't know, tend to a child, take care of a child, okay? So he sees the halakha. He says, Mutar min adin, להעביר תינוק מידי אישה נידה לידי בעלה, וכן מידי הבעל לידי אשתו, ולבד שהתינוק יוצא מעצמו מחיק אמו, הוא בא לחיק אביו. As long as the child is able to go and stretch his hands forward for himself could do it. And because we have a rule that's called Chai Noseh Atzmo. He says, somebody is machmir tavu alav bracha, but he says, Mikar adin is permitted to do so.
If he can do it himself.
If a child can do it on his own, it's not a problem at all. But if a child's not able to do it on his own, the halakha will be is that nothing doing. You have to put the child down.
What if the child's in the intermediate, in between their age right now? Like, child pushes, but she can't really come to somebody.
No, but if he could go with his hands like this, he's already making the motion of going, you could take it.
Oh, yeah.
That's what we're talking about.
If the child does this kind of motion, that means he's in the state of he already knows how to do this.
Yes.
Or does that mean he has to do this every time?
No, he could do it. As long as the child that age.
Down now, but you know that he knows how to do this.
It's not a problem, he says. It's not a problem at all.
Well, his discussion
So you can pull him. You can pull him from the wife. You trying to say?
Yeah, if he already has
If he knows how to do this, even though he
He says if it's a child that you could go on his own, not a problem. But if it's a child that you have to move him like any other object, you have to pick him up to move him. That's how the statute says. You're not allowed to go from hand to hand.
Just to confirm, a few steps down, taking a stroller. Can you help? Can you do it with your wife or no?
Sure, stroller is not a problem. Stroller is not heavy. Stroller is not a problem at all. You can't tell her, too bad.
It's not a
Stay
stroller.
home.
No,
It's not a stroller. It's an heavy object.
It's allowed, not a problem. He says, listen to this. But let's say it's a child. Listen to this. Listen, this permission. Alright, this leniency that they say that if a child is able to go like this, right, and go on his own out of the hand, we said that it's permitted to do so. He says it's only specific situation. It's only for a need. Let's all let's say he says he wants this father to pick him up and he's starting to cry already. Only then is there this leniency. But stam, for the fun of it, you go to him, you come to me. Let's see who is he gonna go to, right? Is he gonna leave me? He's not gonna leave me. He's gonna stay by me. He's not gonna stay by me. Playing all those games, nothing doing. Okay, let's proceed further. That's derech hibah. That's not done. Okay, next one. Kissing a child while the child is in the hands of the mother. That's derech hibah. That's understood not to do so. Feeding a child. Unless it's a need. If there's a need, a child is sick, and one person has to hold him, let's say to give medicine, or somebody has to do something, right? While he's holding him, he's feeding him, right, for the need of the child, then it will be a leniency to do so. But stop, like this, the child is in one hand, you're feeding him, and this and that, then he says he's not allowed to. For the fun of it, it's not done. Not done. Okay. Next one.
That's a question.
Yes.
Going back a little bit before the child.
Yes.
I know it's the answer, but a queen bed.
We're going to get to that. We're getting there.
Queen bed.
He did shoot queen size bed. It's a big, sleeping on the same bed, not sleeping on the same bed. One bed, let's say you have two beds that are attached to the headboard. We're going to talking about that. We're getting there.
He's on the right ball.
Listen. Baruch Hashem. Now, next one. He says, you have to understand. He says the same concept will be is when you want to wash the baby. The best thing to do is to get like that basin that they have, right? Special prepared. You put a child in, it sits in it, and he's not going to drown in it, so you know for sure that nothing's going to go wrong. And the mother should tend to him.
To put the towel on, or
it's going to be we're talking about that exactly the point we're getting to. Slow down. It says like this: Asur a husband, the father of the baby, is not allowed to hold the child at the time when the wife is washing the baby.
What about if you take a shower with the baby? If you take a shower with the baby,
what about
hold the baby, and the wife washes the baby?
Oh, that's what we're talking about. If a husband is holding the baby and the wife washes, no good. Or the other way around, nothing doing. Now, but okay? Says the only leniency you will have where a husband is allowed to hold the baby, while the wife tends to wash the baby, she takes care of the baby. Is the only time we could do that. It's brought down over here. Is only if the husband is going to put on gloves. Or he's gonna hold him through put on gloves, hold the baby, and let her wash the baby. Yes, that's the only
You can pass
leniency
to each
there
other
is.
then with gloves.
Huh?
You can carry the table then with gloves.
No, again, I'm not. It says the only because this is a need. A child will not sit still, and he has to hold him. Has to hold him. He's a little baby. Chas shalom. You know how many accidents, how many fatal accidents took place? The baby fell out of the hands, slipped out of the hands, and many terrible things took place. You have to be very careful. You have to be very careful. Okay, so he says the only time there will be a leniency when it's impossible to do it one way or the other, the only way to do it will be is the husband put some gloves, wear gloves, and hold the baby while they could be lenient on this.
These days they have this basin and put this.
Yeah, basin's the basin. You put it in. The best thing to do is like this. Okay, now
Gloves only gonna work on that part.
What?
Gloves only for that part.
that will be the time you're holding the baby. That will be a leniency. You remind me of that intensive care unit, right? Intensive care unit. Put on the gloves, put on the gear to get in. Okay, let's proceed further. Now, he says like this. He says there is what to be strict about. The Shulei Shevet Ari brings out the Bel Moshe brings it down also. Many poskim they say that the person is better off. Let's say a wife she is and he died, and a husband is right, and they're walking with a baby in the middle, and they're all holding a hand. Forget about picking up a child going 1, 2, 3, let a child fly in the air, right, and all that. Nothing doing. A husband should not either or should hold a child.
Or 2 kids are there.
Huh?
Or 2 kids are between.
No, 2 kids I don't think is going to be a problem. It's going to be only 1 child. 1 child in the middle, and you have one mother holding one side, the father holding the other side, and they feel you know how one is pulling to the other. Says that it should be מחמירן. Says יש להחמיר שלא ייתן יד לילדו הקטן בצד אחד, בשעה שאשתו נותנת בצד השני. So it says better not to do that. Let's go further. Next one. Okay, we're talking about the stage of a brit. He says, let's say the mother wants to, right, they carry the baby to the makom of the brit, and they have to come to take the baby from the what's his name, right? If you want to come to take, listen, it's a very interesting concept. A wife, she's carrying a pillow. A wife is carrying a pillow. The baby is on it. Can a husband come in to take the pillow with the baby on it away from the mother?
How is it like
from break
I think
or
so. It's an object.
Oh, you're not allowed to pass it. So
Yeah.
there's a leniency though in a situation where there are 2 pillows. There's a big pillow on the bottom, and there's a big pillow and a small
only
pillow
one
on
pillow?
top, and the one comes and takes this way and picks it up. Always better to have somebody else.
Nice.
But let's say they have this system where it has to be done. Bezat Hashem, somebody have a baby, it will become very useful. We know that when the wife has a baby, she's nida. That is a known thing.
But she doesn't have to bring the baby out.
She does not have to. She does not. But in those places where the minhag is that she does do that, so they come and by as Bukhari, it doesn't usually happen. You get sandak lishon, you give it somebody, somebody else. But in the case where the father sandak lishon, he comes to take the baby away from the mother, right, it's better off that she put the pillow down but there's no tables where to put the baby down, to put the pillow down on the table or something. Then he says better off to use 2 pillows, or you ask somebody in the middle, Mama, please come take the baby from her and give it to me. Something like that. Okay, let's proceed
I
further.
want to give her honor.
Sound actually she. For the mother-in-law.
Okay. Okay, let's proceed further. Next one. Carrying an umbrella. Being a gentleman, right? You have a big umbrella, you want to carry it, and your wife wants to walk next to you, and you hold the umbrella on top to protect it from the rain. That's obviously understood that this is the way to do. But for them both to hold an umbrella at the same time, that's not done. That's obvious. Please don't do that, okay? Now, okay. Okay, let's go. Let's proceed further. Oh, here is interesting. He says, An Kippur. You're Erev Kippur. We do kaparot, right? And a lot of people do kaparot with the chicken. Live chicken, they take it. And they go over the, right? Or you take money. Whichever one you do it with. And you go over a thing, as long as you're not touching, it's not a problem at all. Okay, so he brings down here, Erev Yom Kippur, Minag Lashon Kaparot for everyone, for every individual of the house, they do kaparot. It says, Mutar l'savev biyado et ha'of ha'kapara ba'avir she'me'al rosh של אשתו, מכיוון שחשש כלל שיגע בה. He's not going to come to the point of touching her. So he says, not a problem at all to do so. Go down from Chacham Ovadia. Next halacha. Okay. Now we're going to talk about next things which are also derech hiba, which is also a way of showing affection and arousing one's feelings towards the other. He says eating on the same table and from the same plate. Eating from the same plate. Okay, so we're going to talk about every single instance. There's a few halachot that have to be explained. Here is the halakha. He says, when husband and wife eat at the same table, the same table, which is a normal thing, please eat at the same table. Do not make yourself strangers. Okay, he says they have to do, when the time of nidat, they have to do some kind of heker. They have to do some kind of thing which will always give them a hint that they shouldn't come to the point of touching each other. A lot of people put a strange object which is not usually on the table. They put it on the table. Let's say they come and they put up a light, right? A small table light. They put on the table and they put it on the table. Let's say they bring a big pitcher that they're not taking the liquid from, not using it at all. They put it on the table. Let's say they put some, but there has to be something which doesn't have to be specifically right in between them. Let's say you're eating food, right? And you took the chopsticks and you put it down like this, saying, and you have to tell each other.
It has to be in between?
It has to be, you have to put it somewhere in here that they should be able to notice it, and they have to say that this is our heker.
This is when there's people in
no,
between.
Only when there is husband and wife and children. Their own family. Talking about, let's say there's nobody there, then they need a heker. No, if there's somebody there, then it's, people have to understand. You don't, you understand? But if some people that they do things even in front of other people also, right? A hug, a kiss, no problem at all. Let the whole world know, not a problem, right? No, it's not done. You have to know that, you have to realize it's not done. It's unacceptable. So what you do is you put a heker on the table, something that will give you, right, make you be more attentive to understand that this is the time of year that you don't come to the point of passing to each other, touching each other, or doing things. You put something else and say, this is our heker. Okay? Something that's not usual. Let's say you put a loaf of bread on the table that you're not eating from. Or let's say like the same halachot they do when people want to eat. Let's say a husband and wife. He wants to eat meat. And she wants, always meat, right? He wants to eat meat. And the lady, she wants to eat dairy. What are you supposed to do? Also same halacha. You put a heker on the table. You put something there and you're able to eat without a problem. Because otherwise it's a big problem. If you're eating at the same table and there's nothing there in between, you're used to saying, that looks very good. And you eat it, right? A lot of people do that. Especially when they feel close to each other. It's not done. This is not acceptable. You put something in the middle, you know that this is, you put an extra cup, empty cups on the table. Right? Something that will, why is this cup not being used? Oh, because it's, it's to be careful. Let us proceed further.
Putting food, let's say there is, Yosef, let's say there is a video of something. Centerpiece, and let's say wife decides to be nice. Let's say they're in the guest house. Wife decides to be nice and starts putting food from that center place to the husband's plate.
We're getting there. Excellent question. We're going to get there. Let's go further. Next one. Tending to the husband is a beautiful thing to do. But please do it in your own house first and then do it in public afterwards. Okay? A lot of people, they say, it's after don't the fish all the more. Right? Comes to show off somewhere else. Like a lot of people, they come to a wedding and a religious wedding, they say, no, I don't dance without my wife. You tell them first dance in your house with your wife and then you'll dance in public maybe also. But okay, let's go further. Now, let us get to the thing. 1 second. He says here, I told you, if there's guests or strangers, then you don't have to do no heker, no shinui, nothing needs to be done. Okay? Now, he says, also another one he says, even, let's say they're eating at a table where a husband and wife, they sit far from each other, right? Where the husband sits over here and the wife sits all the way on the opposite side, and they talk to each other through an intercom. Can you please, right? Or ding 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 ding, you ring a bell, right? The rich people, high class.
Yeah.
Some people, you have to understand, some rich people, they eat with 2 spoons at the same time. Some people do that. Some rich people switch beds in the middle of the night too, right? Some people do that. Some rich people get that far. They get that far. They switch beds in the middle of the night. Right? I'm just telling you this, the rich thing. The rich thing. Okay, let's proceed further. I always tell these people, rich people, they feel that if you have an extra pair of shoes, they're smarter. Not true at all. Not true at all. Rich people have a bigger nisayon than the regular person has because they have to know what to do with their money. If they have extra money that Hashem gave them a bracha with, they have to know to use the money the right way. Because for every penny, I mean it, for every penny they're going to have to give din v'cheshbon like Hashem say, what did you do with all the money I gave you? Okay, sleep on two beds at the same night. Like I remember there was one person, he was telling somebody else, he says that rich person, he still eats with one spoon, and that same rich person still sleeps on one bed at night. Don't think because he's rich, he sleeps at two beds at night. Maybe to give this idea to the rich people, say, you're really rich? You're really rich? You sure? Do you sleep on two beds at night? I start thinking, maybe I should do that. Let's go further. Just to feel rich, okay. I just have to have that. It's sick.
There are lots of very wealthy people out there who actually live very modest lives.
Yes, I've seen that.
Billionaires.
Billionaires, and they live very modest. They have broken tables and chairs in the house to that extent. They have. I know shitty. And somebody who gives out, and he gives and gives.
Warren Buffett lives in his 1960s house. The same house he used to live in.
It's not a good example. I think he's an idiot. Yeah, he lived modestly, but the way he talks, it's one of those people that do as I say, not as I do. And I don't like those
I've seen
people.
people like
Okay, but anyhow, listen, comments afterwards. Let's go further. But anyhow, so I'm just telling you that a heker is needed specifically when they're sitting close to each other. Let us proceed further. Now, if let's say a child is sitting between a husband and wife, even if it's a very small child, it's also considered a heker. Also. Okay? Let's go further. Okay, it brings down the very interesting halakha that this that we say, halakha, that you're supposed to make something that will give you a recognition, right? Make you realize, watch out, she's nida, right? Don't pass things to each other. Don't take things from one another. Don't pass things to one another. Specifically when they're sitting down to eat. But let's say it's a type of thing where they're just sitting down in the lounge and there's only drinking, soda, and all types of different beverages. He says it's not a problem.
Real.
Even if they're drinking wine, he says you don't have to do a heker at all. It's halakha brought down. Again, let's repeat this thing again clearly. No, only by eating is the halakha that you have to have a separation. You put something, don't put a cell phone. When you good advice to you, when you married, when you come home, throw away your cell phone. It doesn't exist. Remember this. The wife should do this. The husband should do this. Throw it away. Do yourselves a favor. Do not follow the waves of the world. It only shows how, you're talking to her through a phone. Yeah, hold on a second. What would you want to tell me? One second. Let me just reply to this. What are you doing? What are you doing? It's a big problem. Huh?
What if you need to really reply to the text?
If it's a matter of life and death, you should do it.
What do the rabbi calls?
Listen to me. Better off, don't do it. The rabbi calls, say, listen, it's not a problem. He'll wait. Let's go further. No lachaim. No jinx. No jinx.
Wow,
Let's
so
go
you
further.
can never do l'chaim, that means.
What do you mean?
They're going to see, wow, they're not doing l'chaim to this Shabbat, they're not doing l'chaim.
Let's go further. Let's go. No, you don't do jinx with the...
Never.
First of all, you should know the ways of doing the heating cups with each other when they drink or whatever. It comes from Maseh Goyim. I remember one of my friends told me that they come to a point, they said the reason why people in the old days had this thing that they used to go and they used to bang, right, jinx with the cups, was when they wanted to poison one another.
Right.
They used to put poison in here, go like this purposely, so from his cup would fall into his cup and drink. And he would see him drink it, say, L'chaim Shalom.
Okay, but now, do we do l'chaim like this? With ladies?
Huh?
With ladies, let's say.
No,
If it's you and your wife alone in the house, L'chaim Shalom. Shabbat. But let's say you are in, what's his name? Especially a strange woman. Oh, Hashem Yilachem. Let's go for it.
My sister, mother.
Huh?
Sister.
Mother not a problem. Sister I would say also okay, but strange woman.
What about sister?
Huh?
Sister.
Oczemo, strange woman?
Ocha Shemo, let's go on.
So next to people, you cannot do drink with your wife.
No, that's what
No, with your wife, it's again. It has to do with the common sense of a person. See what he does. My personal thing, women should drink alcohol beverages.
No, just all the time. Wine.
Drinking is not.
No, she take drinks.
No, with the wives.
Now for me, it was worth for me to come today.
Somebody else, not a problem. To you, problem. Let's go for it.
Wait. My wife can pass somebody else or something.
She can pass you, not wine, not alcoholic beverage.
No, it doesn't matter.
Let's say she צריכה להביא חפץ. She can give it to him. But to you,
No.
that time of year, she has to put it on the table.
But isn't it makes it obvious for people to see?
What?
But again, he says you should make it less obvious.
No, but
No.
Do it all the time.
In general, people have to
Oh,
be
yeah, that's
more.
what I'm saying.
I'm saying what Ikar Adin is.
But when
Ikar Adin, not a problem.
why she's not allowed to? She doesn't allow to give me something so I won't get aroused. As you say.
Right.
How about the other person?
He's not going to get aroused. מה הקשר בינו לבינה?
Shmirat Einayim, all those things
Shmirat
that don't
Einayim,
look and
yeah,
everything that.
Okay, we're not talking about.
Se'arai, what I don't know,
That's
to
why.
cover the head, everything, so it's no other people won't get aroused.
It's true. Let's go for it. No, but the only problem we say is when you pass to a husband, he'll get aroused. When you pass to a strange man, he's not going to get aroused. She's a suratu. He's never going to lay because he
not
just.
true.
Huh?
That's not true. That the strange man is not going to get aroused. Say, look how she's serving.
Can that cause one problems?
Read something to it.
What's the point? What's the point that you're not allowed to dance in public? What's the whole this point? What? So that you can say nobody's gonna get aroused. Why? Let dance. Everybody dance.
Let's go for it. Next. I'm telling you halachot. Next. Let's go on. Hachamim knew how far everything goes. Let's go on.
Passing an object and dancing is a different thing.
No, but
Okay.
Kisui what, for
When you
example?
try to
Why
tell
you
me
put
the guy
Kisui?
cannot get aroused.
Because the hair is
If somebody's
erva.
pouring you wine.
Okay, don't arouse.
No, because hair is erva.
Somebody's pouring
Even
you
today?
Yeah, you asked me
When
at
you're
least.
home, it's
Also
okay
covered.
next to your wife, next to your husband.
In the bedroom, not a problem.
Strange guy.
Only in the bedroom.
חדר שינה כמה שפחות בגד, הכי טוב.
Living room.
ליבינג רום, כמה שיותר בגד, יותר טוב.
Cover, really?
כן, כמה שכולם יהיו, זה לא ברכה במים. ברכה בבית שהיא צנועה. צניעות.
Even when she's.
קאנסטנט צניעות.
Try the
קאנסטנט.
best.
My at least listen. Have a life of arousing and this and that, the best place is for the Kodesh HaKodashim in the bedroom. Everywhere else, guidelines. Let's go for it. Let's go on. Next. He brings down a very interesting thing. He says, let's say a husband and wife, right? Boycott. They don't talk to each other. You hurt me. I hurt you. You hurt me. You this, you that, right? And let's say it comes to a point where, right? It comes to a point where a husband and wife, they're not talking to each other, and they're sitting eating at the same table. You still need a heker. You have to put something in between.
Do we not?
Because people make shalom, especially when they eat.
But who's gonna put it?
Huh? You put it. You put it. You be the man. Let's
There's
go
gonna be
on.
an argument.
No gonna be argument. Let's go further. Anyways, next halakha. Now, what about eating from the same centerpiece, same place? Right? You have
You're alone. You and her.
you and her eating from the same. Oh, let's say even with many people,
You cannot?
you cannot eat from the same place.
So many people?
Not that.
But then it's gonna be obvious.
You serve. What's the name? What
No, I mean I use.
halakha is you don't eat because first of all comes out to be many aspects in halakha. We'll talk about every single one. Pay attention. It says that they're not allowed to eat from the same plate.
Okay.
Okay, not allowed to. Here, what they do is very simple. You take a plate, you serve yourself. Okay? He says, for example, he gives many examples. Salads, chamutzim, right? All the types of spicy salads you have on there. You have pickled things on the table. You serve it in your plate and you eat as much as you want. Okay? Now, next one, it says like this. It says, even if you have in a plate, right? You have a plate with cakes and everything is cut up, or you have fruits already, everything cut up, or you have sunflower seeds, all different types of watermelon seeds, and you know what? You have to put for yourself, and afterwards only eat. You cannot eat directly from there because it's eating from the same plate. It's not done. Next one. He says, but bread, right, stuff like this, that everybody does on his own separately, even if you have a center plate where there's butter. You don't have people eating at the same time, cutting the butter at the same time, right? I cut and she cuts. It's not the chila, it's not done. It's not acceptable, not one person at a time. By something which is one person at a time, but when sunflower seeds, right, 2 people go into the plate at the same time. Fruit platters, people go at the same time. Okay. Sushi platter, 2 people go in at the same time. Or it's something which is a one time, people go at the same time, is a problem. Something people don't go at the same time is not a problem. Let's proceed further. Next halakha.
2 minutes.
1 second. He says, now this concept of eating from the same plate doesn't make a difference if they're sitting or standing, right? It's not done. Don't eat the same, what's his name? From the same, what's his name? He says, listen to this interesting halakha comes out to be. He says, let's say they're traveling on a train. And what they did is they opened up their briefcase, right? Their what's his name? Chumadan. They open it up and there's food from the same thing. Can they eat at the same time? You have to put yourself a plate, serve yourself and eat. That will be the best, most productive, normal thing to do. Now, let us proceed further. He says, well, let's say people have this thing that they dip the bread into the salt. Halakha is dipping bread into a salt because people do it one at a time. You can dip into it and she can dip into it afterwards without a problem. Because it's only one at a time type of thing. It's also only to make things, it's only lachshir lo latim, it's only making food more proper than making it better. Let's proceed further. Next one. Here's interesting halakha. A husband and wife eating at the same plate. They're mutarim, they're permitted. And suddenly the wife realizes that it came, she became nida. The halakha is, right, that she become nida. The halakha will be she has to tell him, I'm sorry, I gotta stop. They have to make a separation and do everything halakha. Put the heker on the table and start putting separate plates. This is the halakha. Now, what about leftover food? Now, leftover food is a very interesting concept that people have to understand. Leftover food and leftover drinks. Leftovers. The normal people who would only eat leftovers from one another is only for those people who are close to each other. You wouldn't mind eating your mother's food, you might mind eating your father's leftovers because you feel close to one another. Right? Most normal people have that, and it's okay to do shitting. It's been done for many generations. I've seen shitting. One time I was found in a certain place. I was sitting, and I saw the father was eating his own food, and it came to a point where the father came to a point of not able to continue to eat. He turned to his son and he tells him, "You want to finish it?" The kid says, "Sure, why not?" He took it and he ate his father's food. See it. This was the first time in my life I've seen shitting, but yes, it's done. Let's proceed further. Only reason is because you feel close to one another. That's why you don't mind sharing. It's not a problem. He says like this. A husband is not allowed to take her leftovers. Right? Let's say there's a cup of anything. Any beverage. Cola, Pepsi, ginger ale, wine, vodka. I don't know what it was there, right? Right? And the guy takes a cup and he wants to drink from it. The halakha is, if it's her leftover cups and she's sitting there and she's watching how he's picking it up and he's drinking it, it's going to be a problem. In front of her, it's a problem. The best way to solve this problem is going to be, we're going to explain right now. It says husband is not allowed to drink her leftovers and eat her leftovers, right? No matter how much she tasted from it, she drank most of it, she did not drink most of it, whatever it is. He says, if there's somebody, unless somebody else in the middle came and, let's say a child took the cup and drank from it already a little bit also, and then afterwards you have no problem drinking at all. It's okay. But another one he says, or you take it and you pour it over into a different cup. You don't use her cup. That is the way to do it. Now, or another situation is, she leaves the room. You take it, you drink it.
So once she leaves the room?
Yeah, once she leaves the room, it's not a problem at all. Or you tell her, What was there over there? Right? She turns there, and while up there. Yeah.
Is she allowed to drink from your?
Yes, she's allowed to eat your leftovers. She's allowed to drink your leftovers. Not a problem at all because she doesn't get aroused from eating your food. It's you that it's men is that the ones who are easy to get aroused, not the women. So let me just find it for you inside the book. So it should be that I don't mess you up on this. Now, 1 second. Let's say it's another situation. Let's say the wife, she drank from it. Another situation where you'll be allowed to drink this water or this liquid or this alcoholic beverage will not be a problem at all if the husband never knew that this was her cup. If the husband never knew that this was her cup, yeah, and he drinks it, she doesn't have to tell him, excuse me, Adoni, this is my cup. You're not allowed to drink. No, she doesn't have to tell him at all. Let him drink it all at once because there's no chibah, because he doesn't know anything about it. Okay?
Other people there, it's not a problem?
No, other people also a problem. Not supposed to. If this is nothing to do with other people. Her leftovers. The best. No, it's you getting aroused. She's watching you eating.
Getting aroused.
You
to
take
do what?
aroused meaning you get excited.
Tempted to
Getting close to each other.
Yeah, but there are people there.
Even if there are people there, it's not done. Don't make a difference. Now,
Rabbi Yosef,
yes.
he's number 10. He needs to go. Can we go?
I'll read. Do we have more than the? Do we have more than? No.
1 second with pause.
Few more halachot. He says like this.
Few.
Rabbi Yosef is gonna leave now.
1 second, please. Do not rush me. Hold on.
Nathan is like, I'm not coming again.
Okay. The only time we said before that it comes out to be a problem to eat her leftovers or to drink her leftovers is when they are considered leftovers. Meaning, if let's say a wife, she took a little thing just to taste it to see what it tastes like, that's not called her leftovers. That is only to check how the salting is. It's only to check how good the food is. That's not called shiurei machal at all, and it's not a problem at all. Now, he says like this. Another one, the Ichti Halacha. He says a person is allowed to use let's say, he says, mutar lahem להשתמש במשחת שיניים שלה, כיוון שהאיסור שיעורי מאכל הוא רק בדברי מאכל שיש בו קירוב דעת. He says, the only time he says you have a problem with the leftovers on things is only food, something which is edible. Her toothpaste, right, or whatever it is that is left on the toothbrush. Some people look at me like say, I'm not going to go that far, right? But a lot of people don't feel it's a problem at all. They pick up a toothbrush and they brush, not a problem. Okay, you don't. But you guys, some people label their toothbrushes. Is it goes that far? Do you label your toothbrush?
Okay,
that's okay, next one.
We have colors.
Goes color.
Okay, fine. Next. Okay. I get it. Okay, so whoever wears, it depends on the color of clothing you wear. If today it's purple, the toothbrush is purple. Okay, let's go first. Next one. 1 second. If a woman should drink the cup, right? Let's say here's the interesting halacha. She has a cup. She finished drinking from it. She drank everything. Do you have to now pick up the cup, go wash it in order to use it for yourself?
I don't think so.
Or not? He says if the woman should drink the cup, the husband is allowed to take this cup without washing it at all. He's allowed to pour into it and drink it. But he says some have a minhag to still rinse out the cups, and he says someone will do so. It's a minhag kasher. It's a proper thing to do. You will have bracha from this concept. Okay, we're up to the point of sitting and laying down on her bed, your bed. We're going to talk about also Safsal Midnatnet, sitting on the same bench, and many more halachot. Bezrat Hashem next time.
Is it because of the Tumah?